Hey y'all, so we did a pivot table in Google Sheets, and that is a super fast and easy way to summarize data. But I want to show you some of the functions that you can use, uh, whether you're using a pivot table or not. So I understand that you can count how many schools are in this data set, right? You can count the individual ones, but I want to use a function to do the same thing. So I'm going to do COUNTIF. And then I'm going to highlight my data that I want it to do. And then I'm going to say if it is AIS. Oh, and it says it has an error. So I think that was the problem. Nope. There are 6 AISs in here. So this is kind of trial and error. Like I know how to use functions, and you watched me go through and try to figure out exactly what it wanted as the input. So it's not foolproof, and most of the time I Google it to see what it wants. Okay, now I'm gonna do. You have to go equals to use a function. I'm gonna go count unique. It's right here, and then I'm going to again highlight my data. There we go. Close my parentheses. Hit enter, and it's going to say there are 6 different schools here. Right? So there were 6 years, 2010 to 2015, and there are 6 different schools. Okay, number of schools and number of years. Okay, now there are lots of things that you can do to count, to average, to change the functions, to mess with this. And I want to show you a couple of things. So if you have functions in a table, right? If you've put functions in and they refer to certain cells, then if you move the cells around, then it can create serious problems in your functions. So the way to avoid that is to protect your range. So you can name a range, you can protect a range, you can protect a sheet, right? So that this sheet, nobody can change this sheet without unlocking it first. Or you can highlight a certain range and right click and say protect range, and then you have to unprotect it before you can change it. It just keeps you from accidentally doing it. All right. Note that the filter, right, this filter view is not going to mess up my my functions. Haha. Okay, so it's not going to mess up my functions in that if I just sort it by that, my pivot table is just going to show up as that, and then the functions don't work because it no longer has the same ranges that it had. Okay, now I'm going to turn this off, select all, and it goes back to exactly how I had it. So a filter, it doesn't mess with your ranges as much as like if I was actually to highlight all of my data and go data sort range. You can turn off your filters. Okay. Now you can count if I'm going to average all of my funding, right? So I'm going to average these guys equals average of all of these. And you just click and drag. Okay. Then I want to show you one of the coolest things. Okay. I calculated the average here, right? And I'm going to hover over this until I have a plus, like the big cross. And then I'm going to drag that where I want it to repeat. So this one was average of these guys. And then I dragged it across. And this one is the average of this column. And this one is the average of this column. So that's actually super cool. And I'm going to bold these so that I know that they're different. Those are averages. You can do sums, you can do standard deviation, variance, all kinds of things.